Hey SMU crew, I'm very, very excited for this training because I'm going to be teaching you guys about a whole new way of looking at a whole bunch of different profitable skills that you can offer to your clients and or future clients. Now, this is going to be a foundation for everything that you learn, regardless of what skills or services you want to provide to clients. This is what we call Domino content. This is a very, very powerful strategy because it unlocks a new level of expertise. It allows you to create more content with more autonomy versus always waiting to hear back from your clients. This is going to be a real game changer for a lot of you guys. Now, this affects a lot of different skills and services and titles. For example, email strategists, Pinterest managers, blog writers, YouTube managers. Oh, the list goes on and on. Lead magnet creation, graphic designers, social media managers, podcast managers, all of those skills and services and more, I'm sure, can use Domino content to absolutely crush their strategy for content creation. So there was a while ago that I read this book called Clockwork. I think it is over here in my bookshelf. Yes, but in chapter 2 of Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, there's this incredible concept called the QBR. QBR stands for the Queen Bee Rule. Essentially, this is the process of a business owner identifying what their most important part of the business is. What is it that only they can do and that others, everyone else can take everything else off of their plate? For a lot of business owners, this QBR is going to be speaking, or interviews, maybe it's video. Some business owners thrive on a different type of QBR, like written content. Maybe it's writing books or writing a blog, creating Instagram captions, or writing emails. Every single business owner has one Every single business owner has one core function that they're ultimately responsible for. And so as you begin to work with business owners, you can discover what is your QBR. So for example, mine is video. It is the only thing that no one else can replace. It's the only thing that I do consistently every single day, no matter what. My QBR is video also because it's very easily repurposed. And, I can obviously have someone write an Instagram post for me or write a blog post for me, but it's very difficult to find and hire a doppelganger to pretend to be me on video. Now, I'll show you guys what this process looks like for several different, QBR pieces of content. And then from there, we're going to dive into how this affects all of the different types of content or services that you can provide to your clients. Now, before we dive into this, I want to share one thing, and this is absolutely foundational. It's going to shift the way that you understand the client service provider relationship. So if you go into service providing, which I think most of you guys have chosen to do, I want you to realize that because the business owner is already so busy, they've got so much going on, the less that you can add to their plate, the better. The more that you can pull time or tasks off of their plate and really just let them breathe, the better. That includes asking for feedback. So as crazy as this sounds, I want you to start getting used to the idea that you don't want to bother your clients. Take no news as good news. Don't always say how did I do? Was that okay? Do you like this? Most of the time you're actually going to get no feedback, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. If anything, it's actually a really good sign to keep on going. And then on your monthly check-ins, of course, you can then say, how's everything feeling? Is there anything that I can, reposition a different way to feel more authentic for you, your brand, the business, the voice of everything that you offer? I want you to just start recognizing that the more that you can autonomously create without having to ask for things from the business owner, the more invaluable you become. Because truth be told, they're not paying to add more to their business. They're paying to pull stuff off of their plate. So that fundamental shift is going to shift the way that you see things, and that's why Domino content is so, so powerful. We should probably draw a little domino here because I think that they're super cute, and I always loved this game as a kid. So, dominoes. Okay, domino content. The QBR role often is going to be videos, whether that's interviews that they've done in Facebook groups, whether it's their course content, maybe it's their YouTube videos or a series of interviews that they've done. If video is their QBR, I'm going to share with you guys a bunch of different ways to turn this into a lot of different pieces of content. Now, remember to make sure that you charge for every single service that you offer to a client. Don't just say like, oh, I can also do your emails. Remember to go back to business foundations inside of SMU and check out upsell, cross-sell, downsell, so that way you can add these services onto your clients and pull more off of their plate. So from the video, the very first step I'm going to do is I'm going to transcribe it. There's several different software I like for this. Lately, I have been using otter.ai. Another great one is Temi. Some people love Rev. They're all great options. We've got otter.ai, Temi, Rev. They're all great ways to transcribe. But transcriptions alone is not a done deal. I want that to be super, super clear. Transcriptions are very unreliable for social content, for written content, especially if you're writing emails or blogs. Now what you can do from that is you can turn the transcription. Yes, it's going to require some work, but it's a little bit easier once you have that Domino piece of content, and you can create a blog from it. Now, the nice part about transcribing this content first is it makes it a little bit easier than having to watch and like write everything down. And I personally find that transcribing before turning into a blog is a way to speed up the entire process. You can also turn this into an email or a series of emails. Generally speaking, and I'm just going to put some generalities in here because we're going to dive more into depth on these different things. Blog posts should be 1,500 plus words if you are specializing in blogs, okay? Super, super important. Now, some effective blogs can be 300 to 1,500 words, but if you're really wanting to charge high-end prices for your blog services, you're going to want them to be 1,500 plus words with some images that explain it or some quotes, as we'll get into in a minute. You also can write, of course, social media captions with the stories from this. And the beautiful part about searching through this QBR content from your clients is that you're able to learn stories that you wouldn't normally know about your clients. So you can actually write in a more authentic voice. I personally always ask my clients to give me access to their courses. We get their books, we read through their blogs, I watch their YouTube videos, and then we start the QBR process. I really want to know their voice before we dive in. So you can do your social captions from this just as a starting base and then add in the lesson and the call to action that you want. But this is where it gets really neat. Then from there, you can create tons of quotes. I personally like to pick out anywhere from 5 to 20 really powerful quotes from my clients and turn them into social media posts. Are some of you guys having like this massive aha? Because this is a very powerful way to get incredible, authentic, original content for your clients. Now, I'll share with you guys a little more of each of these processes in the other trainings, but I think that this is an essential part of speeding up your process and allowing yourself to add on extra services to clients and really serve them even better during this time. So we're going to create these quote cards, and those are graphics. They're usually like a graphic with like an image in the background of a person with a little quote over here to the side. So these are really awesome. They're very powerful. They can be used in a lot of different ways. But there's one other way that we can use that QBR, that queen bee role content as well, especially when it's video. And that is to turn it into more little videos. So for example, you can pull a YouTube video from that content. There are so many people who have taken entire seminars or courses and taken sections of those to create a thriving YouTube channel. And the reason that that works so well is because, for example, Tony Robbins, Eckhart Tolle, Oprah, they don't necessarily have the time to sit down and film specifically for YouTube. It's not their main focus. Their main focus is their show, their seminars, their events, their courses, right? So instead, you can actually take segments that are anywhere from 7 minutes to 15 minutes and create little segments of YouTube videos. The other nice part too is from those YouTube videos, you can create podcast episodes. And of course, by tacking on an intro and maybe a narrator that says, hey, in this episode, so-and-so is going to be talking about da-da-da-da-da. This came from one of the seminars in Australia, and we know you guys are going to enjoy this episode. So you can add a narrator, whether it's the client or an external narrator, maybe it's you or another team member. You can literally repurpose these clips in this way. You also can take little segments and create trailers for different social media platforms. So video is my personal favorite QBR. I think it's a really powerful way to effectively get the job done. But let's say that your client mostly focuses on written content. Ooh, this is going to be hard to erase. We'll see if we can get all this erased in time. The good thing about these markers is they're really intense, but they're hard to erase in one go. So as I do that, I'm just going to share with you guys that I'm really excited to be giving you guys all of these tools. If so far you've learned something new, go on over to smucrew.com and share it in the Facebook group. I want to hear, what did you learn? What are you excited about? What gives you hope? Or what was a big aha that you had in this lesson? All right, let's see how much better we can get this. I'm going to have to get those like big writing pads for teaching these trainings. Okay, so let's say your client does something that's written. Maybe it's books or blogs or emails. Those are all legit QBRs for Domino content. Now, why do we call it Domino content? Because if you tip over the first one, it creates a chain reaction. And all your client needs to do is tip over the first domino in the Domino content to allow you to create a ton of content without constantly asking them for stories and different things and quotes. This is a great way to ease up their workload. Now, the easiest thing that you can do is repurpose it into other written word. So if it's books, you can easily do blogs, social captions, you can do emails. Heck, if they're doing a bunch of blogs or emails, you can even turn that into a book. Did you guys know that? It's pretty crazy. I've read a lot of books that were written based on emails, and they're some of the best books I've ever written. Now, the neat part about this is from there, it's easy once again to create those quote cards. So that Domino piece of content frees you up to create all kinds of amazing content. Now, this does get a little trickier when it comes to podcast and YouTube, and I'll be just totally transparent with you guys about that. However, even these can be turned into animation videos for YouTube. Now, with a podcast, I wouldn't usually recommend having someone else read their words, but it's actually a cool thought, and it might be worth it for a writer who's maybe shy, but you can also send back to them a script for their podcast and say, hey, can you start recording one podcast per week? I'll send you the script, make sure it gets uploaded, take care of absolutely everything. So the neat part about Domino content is it truly frees you up. Now, of course, if the Domino content is podcast, let's do a little voice wave, then of course you'll follow a similar model to the video Domino content, and you're going to start with the voice, and then you're going to transcribe it, and then you're going to do the same thing where it's blog, email, captions. And once again, you'll turn those into quote cards, right? For social, to promote. And then, of course, that's a little bit easier to create videos too, which is kind of nice. You can just put some beautiful imagery behind, or a photo compilation, or even a standstill image is totally fine. It's not the best practice for YouTube, but some people like to listen to podcasts on YouTube. So it can be a great way to make content go further. So I'm super excited to hear how this serves you guys. This is going to serve as a foundation for everything that you do. I will catch you guys in the next training.